Fitness has been a part of people's lives for centuries. It started around 600 BC when the ancient Greeks would do things like construction for muscular strength or distance running for endurance and speed, and then wrestling to refine combat skills. And in the late 1960s, weightlifting became a part of sports performance. And then in the 1970s, people like Arnold Schwarzenegger popularized fitness to the general public, and the craze for that beach body began. And as a result of this, the starting point for your health and sports performance goals may have been started using the wrong roadmap. Today, I will be talking about how bodybuilding and lifting-based methodology has seeped into every part of the health and sports performance world. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Movement Monday podcast, brought to you by Move Pain Free. I'm your host, Joe Comer. This is your haven for learning how your body is designed to move, taking deeper dives into slow motion film analysis and simple exercises you can use to unlock your potential and move pain free for a lifetime.
Lifting is at the center of health and human performance. However, the foundation in which it was built upon came from bodybuilding. In 1969, Boyd Epley became the first paid strength and conditioning coach at the University of Nebraska. This started a huge trend to get their athletes bigger, faster, and stronger. And there's no question that for optimal performance, we do need our athletes to be big, fast, and strong. But at the time, no one took into account how the athletes do this as they move. In the book, The Golden Age of Strength and Conditioning, Boyd, along with many other pioneers of the industry, talk about their backgrounds, all of which include inspiration from bodybuilders or powerlifters and those who are at the top of the class in those respective sports. So what we see from the beginning of times of human performance is that the foundation came from bodybuilding and sports alike. But for athletes, they're spending their time generating and accepting force in forward movements such as running, walking, cutting, or jumping. And this is something that just was not taken into account by any bodybuilders or powerlifters because it wasn't a demand of their sport. It only makes sense to get bigger, faster, and stronger athletes while paying attention to how they're landing and leaving the ground so that they can safely perform these movements. And as it pertains to general health, there's no question that muscular strength and endurance is very important for both the quantity and the quality of our lives. But much like strength and conditioning, fitness was popularized by the likes of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Franco Columbu in the 1977 film Pumping Iron. It's hard to come by a trainer or coach who hasn't heard of Arnold or the film Pumping Iron. It inspired people to have their own structured workout programs and to have their own individual fitness goals. But the inspiration, then again, came from bodybuilders and powerlifters who lacked attention to how they move outside of the gym. And as everyday humans, we spend a majority of our time moving forward, whether it be recreational sports or playing with the kids or going on hikes in nature. So ignoring this aspect in our training is less than ideal for longevity. The problem with this lifting-based methodology is it's a lot of single-side tensioning and a lot of muscular isolation, since it was designed originally for looks. In the book, High Performance Training for Sport, there are two ideas of training. One is to isolate the muscles so that you can strengthen them and they can withstand force. The other is a more functional idea, training the muscles to function the way that they're designed. By training this way, the injury prevention and efficiency comes from the muscles working the way they were designed. The kicker here is, to have functional training, you need to have a base function, or a natural way of moving. With most lifting, the goal is to perform the lift better and to isolate and strengthen certain muscles so that they can withstand external force. However, when we move, we tension the entire body in a specific sequence. When the training isolates the muscles and it doesn't match the natural function, the body will start to compensate, and that's when pain and injury enter the discussion. When our body starts to compensate for these inefficient movement patterns, you can get hurt, no matter how athletic you are. And as you can see, isolation of muscles is a very popular philosophy in the training industry. Good science is based in observation, producing a hypothesis and seeing if that hypothesis holds true through the analysis of data. If you stick to this method through observation and comparing that to the analysis of injury data, you find that there are certain mechanisms of injury. These mechanisms of injury that should be avoided are a flat foot, a tail tuck or a hip thrust, and a rib flare. And it's common to see these three mechanisms of injury present in all forms of modern training. A problem with some coaches is that they completely skip the observational piece of the scientific method and go straight to the analysis of data, in which there is still a failure to accurately extract information from that data. And this is evident as we look at the adaptations of strong lifters versus strong movers.
So like what we see with Ed Reed is he's going to have a strong foot and he's going to stay on the ball of that foot. That way the foot can act as an anchor to move around. By doing so, the hip and the ankle can now work together better. We're going to get these knees to point in the same direction along with the spine. So when we look at the track athlete or a strong lifter, what we see is a flat foot. The pressure has fallen to that inner edge, thus collapsing the arch of the foot. When that happens, the hip and the ankle can no longer work together the proper way. So we get these kneecaps to point away from each other, unlike Ed Reed, in which they're pointing the same direction. Then we look at the chest or the spine, and we see that it is also pointing in a different direction since it's heavily braced. And this is what disorganized movement looks like.
The idea of becoming stronger and more fit was revolutionary. However, it may be time to revisit some strategies as we continue to see pain and injury rise in our society. The pioneers of fitness and human performance may have never seen this pandemic of injury coming, but it's time to become bigger, faster, and stronger while paying attention to how our body was naturally designed to move. Don't forget to leave a comment, like this video, and subscribe to the channel for more information in the future about how you can start to live an active life moving pain-free.